Welcome to the Talkia walkthrough, created with version 1.0.8. We will go through every aspect of Talkia and provide alternatives to give you a comparison of what else is out there. Excellent! Our guests are already starting to arrive. Hey, let's see how well Talkia translates for our guests whom are now arriving for the party. Who could read that?
This video is chapter 10 of a much larger walkthrough.
This free Talkia walkthrough took over 100 hours to create.
So far, so good.
YouTube judges a channel by likes, shares, subscribers, and total watch time.
We ask, for all our hard work, please use those buttons. And let this video run until its end.
Not bad. Not too bad at all.
Thank you.
As stated, this entire video is part of a much larger walkthrough, so you'll see chapter 10 only because I decided not to change it out. Stay on the lookout for the larger walkthrough where we walk through Doodly and AutoScript and discuss Toonly and Voomly. You can reach Talkia at www.talkia.com. The software is pronounced Talkia. As you would expect from the Bryxen company, the website is an astonishment of excellent advertising. Brad has a phenomenal marketing and website development team. The website starts out with a Toonly introduction. We have the audio muted on that right now, but you can go to the website and listen to it if you want to. The website will, however, fill you full of hope that may not be an accurate display of the full software capabilities. On the first page, it is stated that you can create lifelike voiceovers that are almost indistinguishable from a human voice. This is not really an accurate description. Listen to the voices I have in this video tutorial and decide for yourself if they're any good. On the next page, we see again create amazing professional voiceovers that sound like real human voices. I will play quite a few different voices for you during this introduction video, and you decide if they sound almost human. Now, all the small print we see here is pretty accurate. This section is absolutely correct. A good voiceover will make your video more engaging. However, a bad one can certainly make people leave. When I hear a TTS, or text-to-speech voiceover, it almost always sounds robotic and turns me away. On the other side of the spectrum, I have heard some TTS voiceovers that were fantastic, and I had to ask if that was a TTS or a real voiceover. These are the voiceovers that people took a lot of time to adjust and get the settings and grammar correct. The problem page is there to cast doubt on trying to find a voiceover artist. These people are not difficult to find, as this webpage would have you believe, and turnaround can be slow, but sometimes it's faster. Now, expense? Yes, some people can be expensive for their voiceovers, but there are places on the internet you can get a voiceover artist for an extremely inexpensive price. Just remember, you get what you pay for, and just because you find it online doesn't mean it's better. So here we have a page that now wants to cast doubt upon your own voice. A TTS is a perfect tool for the person that does have a heavy accent when speaking English or a different language, or doesn't like their voice. So there's a lot of truth to this page, but don't let it cast doubt upon your own voice if you haven't tried. Now comes the sales pitch page. A software that can cover everything and is really simple. Yes, the Talkia software is really simple to use, but not without bugs and not without a learning curve and not without spending time learning the software. For the most part, however, these instructions are pretty accurate. Paste your text, choose your voice, add your voice to the audio timeline, add some music if desired, and export the video. Even the fine print is accurate, stating your voiceover will be completed in a few seconds. This section is really important because there's an issue with TTS that has to do with pausing, intonation, emotional inflection, and asking questions in general. This states that Talkia mainly relies on Google WaveNet, but the Talkia software as of version 1.0.8 does not accept the Google WaveNet commands. Google WaveNet does sound more human than Amazon Polly in my opinion, and the pausing happens with proper grammar and not automatically as this page leads you to believe. Here is the real selling point, the practice voiceovers. Please remember when hearing these voices, they are only one sentence and there are no questions. They are also the best voices out of the software that are on this page. Let's take a listen.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
On this next page, it says the following statements, but I have not been able to find a method to do these other than typing your own commands for Amazon Polly only. It states, Talkia allows you to stress specific words so you can emphasize your point perfectly. Talkia lets you customize those all-important pauses, adding them to your voiceover and selecting how long they last, and it states Talkia lets you customize the delivery style of some of its voices, opting between a newscaster-like delivery or a more conversational one. This next section tells us that we can use it for different languages. Since I'm not fluent in these languages and this is an English walkthrough, I'm going to skip over this foreign languages section. If you'd like to hear them, you can visit the website and hear what they sound like. Can you believe we are only halfway through this website? They are really trying to sell it on you, and frankly, if you made it this far on the website, chances are you're really interested and are going to purchase it. This section gives you ideas on how to use Talkia. Now comes time for the closing arguments. If you still aren't quite sold on the software, they tell you about your pocketbook next. Using the Talkia software may save you money from hiring voiceover artists, but driving your sales and acquiring new customers is pushing it with the lack of basic commands for Google WaveNet. Yes, Bryxen constantly updates their software at this time. Let's talk about that 30-day money-back guarantee. You must submit a request in writing to support@talkia.com to request your refund, and then yes, you will receive a refund, no questions asked. However, if you are 1 day outside that refund period, their own terms of service says you're out of luck. Now comes the most important question. Is the Talkia software worth purchasing? Continue watching and decide that answer for yourself. The frequently asked questions are not any questions I've ever heard asked in the groups, but they seem to be helpful, and I can see them being asked by other people that are interested in the software. Going through them quickly, we can see that most of the answers provided are more marketing than helpful. But if you've made it this far on the website, take the time and read the answers. They will provide a little bit of information to help you make your decision. Let's take a look at the Talkia software. Talkia uses Amazon Poly and Google WaveNet synthesized audio. Only the Amazon Poly can accept basic input commands in this 1.0.8 version of Talkia, which makes Google WaveNet kind of useless, but we will demonstrate it anyway because they do sound more human-like than Amazon Poly in my opinion. Let's look up at the menu options. In the upper left corner, we have the menu options. Clicking on Application and then clicking on About Talkia displays the current version, which is also displayed in the upper left hand corner of the window. Clicking Quit will exit the application. Clicking the Edit menu will provide you the most basic common editing options listed: undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, and select all. Each of these shows you the keyboard shortcuts to the right of them to be utilized for these commands. These commands will come in more in later versions when you have the ability to cut and paste different sections of your audio within the audio timeline. The most useful items within these menus are in the Help section. We can go to the customer support site by clicking on Help and then Customer Support. This will open up customer support directly in your browser with different articles they've already written about Talkia. Clicking on the Help and then the video tutorials will bring you to your video tutorials teaching you the basics of working with Talkia. The video tutorials are short, helpful, and recommended, but the software itself is quite user-friendly if you just want to get in there and fiddle around. The first area that appears when logging into Talkia contains the main area with the projects and user interface sections. If you find yourself in this section, simply click the My Projects to return to the main section. Clicking on New Project will require the name to be filled into the project, and clicking the Create Project button will open up the editing interface. This interface is quite impressive and a lot better than I thought the first version of this software was going to be, considering all the issues that Doodly has within the software code. Looking at the different options, we can choose from the male or female voices. We can adjust both the pitch for each voice higher or lower and the speed to be slower or faster easily with a slide bar. Clicking on the drop down for the female voice, we can see a lot of options for voices, and the columns tell us what type of voice to expect from the different countries and whether they are child or adult. The easy to use preview will also allow you to hear the voice prior to inserting it into the project or writing any text whatsoever. Let's listen to Johanna.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
And how about Susan?
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
Talkia brings voices in from Google using WaveNet or standard version. WaveNet is the same technology used for the Google Assistant. Talkia cannot use any commands with the Google WaveNet voices. This means it will be difficult to pause or provide other commands to make the synthesized audio sound more realistic or human-like. Amazon Poly can use some basic commands, and we will go over those later. Let's listen to Lydia from the standard version of the Google obtained synthesized audio in comparison to Nicole from Amazon Poly.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
This is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
There is a search option for voices when you become more familiar with the voice names. Once you've decided upon a voice, simply click Apply to choose that voice. Normally, the center options for pitch and speed are fine, but you can adjust them to your desired input or output. It will take a little bit of practice to determine how much you need to slide each section to make the change that you desire. Let's type something in the text-to-speech area. And now click the Speak It button to have it repeat back to you.
This is a test to see what these voices sound like.
The software will read what you typed in the text-to-speech and repeat it back to you in the voice that's been selected. This is only one sentence. TTS software has severe issues with emotional inflection, questions, and pausing. It is extremely important to be grammatically correct within the software and use the proper commands with your voice. Let's type a couple of sentences and see what this sounds like. Let's give the TTS a sentence with some grammar and a question to hear what this sounds like. If the voice sounds more robotic, choose another voice or adjust the speed and pitch of that particular voice.
Would like to go to the store, Mom. How about if you pick me up something from the store, Mom?
As you can hear, the software does not handle questions well enough to be convincing with two sentences. Let's add some new sentences and see how those sentences are handled.
I would like to go to the store, Mom. How about if you pick me up something from the store, Mom? What happened when I turned on the TV? I ran a mile across some very hot pavement and hurt my feet. I guess I should have worn shoes.
Let's try something. Let's turn the speed all the way to max and take a listen as to what Jared sounds like with max speed.
I'd like to go to the store, Mom. How about if you pick me up something from the store, Mom? What happened when I turned on the TV? I ran a mile across some very hot pavement and hurt my feet. I guess I should have worn shoes.
If you want to stop the voice from speaking, just click the Speak It button again. That's not obvious, but it works as a toggle button. The sliders have no effect while the voice repeats the words inside the text box. Let's see what slowing down the voice and turning the pitch up does for us.
I would like to go to the store, Mom. How about if you pick me up something from the store, Mom? What happened when I turned on the TV? I ran a mile across some very hot pavement and hurt my feet. I guess I should have worn shoes.
Okay, now we have a drunk Jared. If you need a drunk person for one of your doodles, here's the settings. Let's set him back to the normal and take a look at the timeline in the bottom area. Let's add Jared to the timeline and play with it while I adjust the volume. We can adjust the playhead and scrub back and forth in the audio timeline, and we can also adjust the volume while we're playing back. So this makes it really useful in determining where we want our sound to be for our voiceover.
Pick me up something from the store, Mom? What happened when I turned on the TV? I ran a mile across some very hot pavement and hurt my feet. I guess I should have worn shoes.
As the volume of the voice was turned down, it did start to sound more human, so keep that in mind. Lower volume, more human sounding with Jared. In the tutorials, they show us that the playhead has 3 sections to allow for deleting sections in the timeline. In addition, adding another audio track and controlling the audio volume on the right-hand side of the timeline are also available in those tutorials, but are not included in the software as of version 1.0.8. I contacted support and they responded that those features have not been developed yet, but the developers are working on them. My response was, how are they in the tutorials if they haven't been developed yet? Apparently, those are being worked on, but there's some bugs in there, and they took the volume out of the right-hand side since you can control it on the left. But we will have additional audio tracks, as well as cut and copy and cut and paste out of the audio timeline, and the 3-sectioned playhead in future versions. If you are using Doodly, Toonly, or any other piece of software, then I highly suggest not using the music track within Talkia. This won't make sense when you import your audio and want to use music from another track from a different piece of software. I'm going to show you anyway how to accomplish working with audio inside Talkia in case you would like to use it. we can preview and listen to each audio track prior to inserting it into the audio timeline. Let's preview a couple and decide on which one to insert. We can see here that it inserts a very loud audio track by default. The volume level will compete with our voiceover, and that is not desired. So let's lower the volume on this one. The audio volume we can adjust while we're playing it back, and I really like that feature.
I would like to go to the store, Mom. How about if you pick me up something from the store, Mom? What happened when I turned on the TV? I ran a mile across some very hot pavement and hurt my feet. I guess I should have worn shoes.
Music is usually added to the video as the very last item. If you choose to use the music audio track feature within Talkia, it will be exported with your voiceover as a single audio track MP3 file and will conflict with the music you add in whatever video program you are using to combine everything. We can fade the music track in and out just like in Doodly, but the audio fading feature is not as good of a design as it is in the Doodly software. Right-click on the music timeline and choose Fade In or Fade Out. This will present you with two dots. At first glance, it looks like you can grab both dots, but this is not the case. Only the top dot can be dragged for the fading. As of version 1.0.8, when the fading happens, there is a bug that doesn't allow the audio level to go up to its full level until you pause the video and play it again. I've reported it to Talkia, and they've said that they've sent it to their developers to have that fixed. We have a zoom feature available to us to zoom in and out of the audio timeline to allow for viewing of specific sections if you want to have the voice start at a specific spot in the music or when the music ends. I still highly suggest not using the audio feature for music in Talkia if you're planning on adding audio after the fact in your video production. Saving and exporting are the last two beginner items we're going to speak about in Talkia before we get into the more advanced concept like commands and the differences between Google and Amazon Polly. Saving happens really fast, and you may not even see anything happen when you click the save button, but in my case, it does save. Exporting is when you take your project and convert it to a usable format like an MP3 file, so you can easily import that into Doodly or some other audio or video program. Hey, you're still here. Let's take a look at more advanced concepts, like working with the commands for Talkia. These commands allow the software to pause and raise or lower the pitches in an attempt to make the synthesized audio sound more human-like. It's important to note that when we were using Talkia, we could only get the basic input commands to work without errors using the Amazon Polly voices and not the Google WaveNet voices. So if you have Google chosen, what I'm about to show you will not work. Let's begin by showing you the page where we can find the commands for Amazon Polly. I've put the exact website address at the top of this video. On the left side, under the Using SSML, we can see supported SSML tags. SSML stands for Speech Synthesis Markup Language. To not get too technical, it allows you to tell Amazon Polly what to do when reading back your script. Amazon Polly supports a lot of tags here that Talkia doesn't currently support. Talkia support tells us that the developers are working on supporting all tags for Amazon Polly and Google, but have no idea when this will be released, so the only tags we could get to work at the time of making this video are some of the ones we will go over here. The break tag. This tells Amazon Polly to pause. The emphasis tag says to pronounce the words a bit stronger than normal and a little bit slower. Prosody. That allows for adjusting the volume, rate, and pitch of the synthesized speech. There are a lot of other commands, but we could not get any of them to work. Talkia ignores anything with the word Amazon in it. Each of these commands has attributes associated with them. An attribute is a way of adjusting the command. If we want to use the break tag, but we want to adjust the amount of time the pause happens, we would use an attribute for that tag. Those attributes have values, and I'll show you those next. When using tags, we need to follow the structure in which they are written to be understood by the TTS software. We can see here that the break strength equals medium has a single tag. We use the command break and then use the attribute strength to adjust that command. It's very important to put the angle brackets around that command and use the double quotes around the value for that attribute. Looking below, we have two attributes for the break tag, strength and time. Each of those tags have different values that can be used to adjust the attributes. The emphasis tag will automatically adjust the rate and volume at which the TTS repeats the script. The emphasis attribute is level, and the values are strong, moderate, and reduced. Please take note that the emphasis tag requires an opening and closing tag to tell Amazon Polly where to start and finish the emphasis. This differs from the break tag, which does not require a closing tag. Let's look at prosody. Here we go. This provides you the tag structure. Command, attribute equals value, close command. And you put any of the sentences in between those angle brackets between value and close command. There are three attributes to the prosody command: volume, rate, and pitch. There are a number of values that go with each attribute. We have not tested every value to see if it works, but we will show you which ones we discovered work well in Talkia. Rate provides the ability to change the rate at which Amazon Polly repeats the script. Talkia provides a basic function of this command, but it affects the entire script and not just a portion of the script. Using this command will allow you the granular control to be able to take one sentence and allow it to change the rate for just that sentence. Pitch provides the ability to raise and lower the sound at which the TTS repeats the script. We tested the X-low, low, medium, high, and X-high, and they all appear to work in this version of Talkia. There are other important items on this page, but I'll let you pause the video if you would like to read them all. Let's move forward. I'm going to open up the Amazon Polly for the commands. And we've already got commands that are already set inside here. The break time, half a second. I've already set the emphasis level for strong. The prosody pitch for -20%, -40%. And let's take a look at how all of this sounds in comparison. We're going to use Lydia as the name.
Some of the commands for Amazon Polly work, but this requires you to have Amazon Polly standard selected in Talkia and not Google Voices, and they do not work for every voice. Less than break time equals 5s. Greater than I have attempted both Miguel and Brian successfully, but here are some of the commands that can be used within Talkia to make the voice sound more realistic. Less than break time equals 1s. Greater than less than emphasis.
Now you hear what's happening right now. Alright, it's saying less than break time, and we're saying, what is that? That is because Lydia is part of WaveNet, and that's Google. Let's switch it over to Amazon Polly. Now,
this is a preview of my voice using the Talkia software.
Alright, I like Sally. Let's use that one. We got an error. Some of the voices don't allow some of the commands in there. It doesn't like them. I don't know what causes the error yet, but some of them work, some of them do not. And that might be, we might have a speech or something that it doesn't like inside here, because it was working yesterday. Let's do, oh, we're on WaveNet. Let's do standard.
Some of the commands for Amazon Polly work, but this requires you to have Amazon Polly standard selected in Talkia and not Google Voices, and they do not work for every voice. I have attempted both Miguel and Brian successfully, but here are some of the commands that can be used within Talkia to make the voice sound more realistic. An emphasis command for strength on a word or phrase. Clicking the Speak It button will stop the voice from repeating this back to you. This is a higher pitch for the voice. This is a 20% lower pitch for voice. This is a 40% lower pitch for voice. This is a 80% lower pitch for voice. Let's listen to these multiple sentences put together but without the proper punctuation to cause the pausing or the commands to wait. We can see how the sentences are run on, and let's misspell the word te and see if it catches it. Now we are going to repeat the same sentence but with punctuation. Let's listen to these multiple sentences put together, but with the punctuation to cause the pausing or the commands to wait. We can see how the sentences are run on, and let's misspell the word te and see if it catches it.
As we can see here, and we've listened, the grammatically correct sentence sounded a lot better and not run on when we're going through here. You can always rewind the video and listen to it again. So make sure you have your commas and your periods so it doesn't sound like a run-on sentence. Also, it does not catch misspellings, so you have got to make sure that you are spelling the words correctly. Make sure if you're going to use commands, make sure that you're using Amazon and standard voices only. If you have Amazon and WaveNet chosen, you are still using Google. Alright? Make sure that you're using these voices for the commands. Let's choose another voice. How about Mia?
Some of the commands for Amazon Polly work, but this requires you to have Amazon Polly standard selected in Talkia and not Google Voices, and they do not work for every voice. You have attempted both Miguel and Brian successfully, but here are some of the commands that can be used within Talkia to make the voice sound more realistic. An emphasis command for strength on a word or phrase. Clicking the Speak It button will stop the voice from repeating this back to you. This is a higher pitch for the voice. This is a 20% lower pitch for voice. This is a 40% lower pitch for voice. This is a 80% lower pitch for voice. Let's listen to these multiple sentences put together but without the proper punctuation to cause the pausing or the commands to wait. We can see how the sentences are run on, and let's misspell the word te and see if it catches it. Now we are going to repeat the same sentence but with punctuation. Let's listen to these multiple sentences put together, but with a punctuation to cause the pausing or the commands to wait. We can see how the sentences are run on, and let's misspell the word te and see if it catches it.
Alright, so we can see here that Mia is designed for Mexico. So it's got a Mexican accent. It pronounces it with the Spanish alphabet, even though it's spelled in English. So they would probably do the same thing with Germany if we try Marlene.
Some of the commands for Amazon Polly work, but this requires you to have Amazon Polly standard selected in Talkia and not Google Voices, and they do not work for every voice. I have attempted both Miguel and Brian successfully, but here are some of the commands that can be used within Talkia to make the voice sound more realistic. An emphasis command for strength on a word or phrase. Clicking the Speak It button will stop the voice from repeating this back to you. This is a higher pitch for the voice. This is a 20% lower pitch for voice. This is a 40% lower pitch for voice. This is a 80% lower pitch for voice. Let's listen to these multiple sentences put together but without the proper punctuation to cause the pausing or the comments to wait. We can see how the sentences are run on and let's misspell the word th and see if it catches it. Now we are going to repeat the same sentence but with punctuation. Let's listen to these multiple sentences put together, but with the punctuation to cause the pausing or the comments to wait. We can see how the sentences are run on and let's misspell the word th and see if it catches it.
We can see how Talkia will react with the same paragraphs and the same commands using different voices. If I was writing this in German, Marlene would probably be a great choice because it looks and tries to read this as if it's written in German. Same thing if I was writing it in Spanish, Mia would be an excellent choice for using it and reading it out in Spanish. As an added bonus for making it this far within the video, here are some free alternatives to Talkia. Although I've done quite a bit of research for you ensuring that these free alternatives are either compatible with Windows 10 or Mac OS X, which most listed here are only Windows 10. I have not tested each one of these options, nor have I read all the licensing agreements. Do your own research and use the software at your own risk. In addition, read their licensing agreement if you're going to use it for commercial use. You can see the website addresses on each website at the top in the address bar if you would like to visit the web pages. YouTube only allows 5,000 characters for a description. If there are enough characters left in the description of this video, I will include all the URLs in the description. Panopreter. This has a free basic version, but it lacks a lot of the options you receive in Talkia. It is a free alternative, however. Look at their buy page for more information. Their paid version has the ability to adjust pitch and volume just like Talkia, and it's about half the cost. They have a screenshot for their software. This appears to be pretty basic, and it shows Anna as the software voice, which was Microsoft's Narrator voice for Windows 7. This means that if you have Windows 10, you can download a lot more voices, countries, and accents into the software. I'll get into that later in this section. Balabolka. This is Russian for chatterer. There are a lot of advantages to this software, especially with the amount of files it can read, which is quite impressive. And it can read your clipboard. It also uses Microsoft SAPI. SAPI 5.3 stands for Speech Application Programming Interface version 5.3. It is the same interface the Microsoft Narrator has been using since Windows Vista. If you're going to use a software that uses Microsoft SAPI, you want it to be at least 5 or above and not below. Since it uses Microsoft SAPI, that means that it is compatible with Windows only. Balabolka has the ability to change out its skins as well, so you can customize the way it looks. WordTalk. This is a free text-to-speech plugin for Microsoft Word, so we can safely presume that this also uses SAPI, which would mean that the Windows operating system is the only one you can use this with. Yes, here we go. Office 2019 users should be careful using this plugin because Microsoft changed the way plugins should be programmed recently, so this plugin may not be compatible with Office 2019. Zabaware is a text-to-speech reader that also uses the Microsoft SAPI version 5.3 engine. In addition, you can purchase AT&T Natural Voices at $25.95 each to work with this software. If you really want to have fun, visit this website and try talking to Hal. Just ask him anything and you'll see, but don't call him an idiot, otherwise he will highly get upset. Hal seems to be the funnest thing about this website. I asked him if the text-to-speech software was Macintosh compatible, and he gave me an answer about some war. Zabaware doesn't look too impressive either, and the last entry on their website was from December of 2017, although their forum is still very active with people looking for help. Zabaware is a free text-to-speech reader with optional purchases. TTS MP3 is a free text-to-speech. They use Amazon Poly for their voices and allow up to 3,000 characters a day for free. They even have a hint for you to leave a space after a period for better pronunciation, but they do have that spelled incorrectly, but I have sent them a correction and they've responded back saying they've fixed it. Read the instructions on this page. The person that created it provides a bunch of commands so you can change voices during the same conversation and raise and lower the pitch. This is really well done and offers support for a bunch of languages. If you don't mind a bit of coding, this can be a really nice resource to use. They did just lower the character usage from 5,000 characters to 3,000 characters per day, so that could have something to do with the person running the site wasn't making enough money. ESpeak is hosted on SourceForge for you to download. I have never used it, but it's available for free for both Windows and Mac users. Feel free to give it a try and leave a comment below if it's any good. Read For Me TTS Clipboard Reader is hosted on SourceForge for download and uses the Microsoft SAPI version 5 engine. The interesting thing about this program is that it reads your clipboard and it repeats it back to you with the push of a hotkey and can save it as an MP3 file. There are a couple of screenshots here so we can see the program interface. It appears that it can read from a text file as well as your clipboard, so you can hear what the TTS is going to sound like with your hotkey before you fully upload it to the program. That's not a bad idea. Good luck with this one. Read the Words has a free bronze membership program with very limited functionality. You can create up to 30 seconds or 100 characters or less audio tracks. Select from 15 voices. It only offers 3 languages, which are English, both US and UK, Spanish, and French, but at least you can manipulate the voices. This will be good for someone that needs something quick, but with other alternatives, I don't think this one will be as appealing as some of the others I've shown or will show later in this section. The home page is where you can convert the text to speech. Simply click the blue "Click here to get started" button. Microsoft's own Narrator is the last free TTS software we are going to speak about in this video. Microsoft offers Narrator in so many languages. This is how so many people are offering software using the Microsoft SAPI engine, because it's free. Let's take a little deeper look at this one and see how we can utilize it for free as well. There are a lot of languages offered in the Microsoft SAPI version 5 engine. Languages come in different dialects as well. As we scroll down, we can see there are 49 different options to choose from, which is mind-blowing. Everything from Arabic to Tamil to Vietnamese. This is fantastic. Let's check out how to set it up. At the bottom, we have instructions for managing and adding voices to Narrator. It's important to note that you don't need to turn Narrator on to use the power of this tool. These instructions will bring you into different areas within Windows 10 that you may not have seen before, so it's best if you don't mess around with anything else other than what we show in this video. On your keyboard, you will see a Microsoft logo key called the Windows key. It's typically in the lower left corner of the keyboard, but it can be in the upper right corner of some older laptops. You will also see the CTRL or Control key in the lower left corner as well. By holding these two keys together and then pushing the N as in November key or Narrator key, we will open up the Narrator options on your computer. When we open it up, we want to look for the Personal Narrator's Voice section, and we should see a link that says Add More Voices. We want to click on that. When the new window opens, we want to look for a section for Manage Voices and click on the Add Voices link. Select the languages to install and click Add. We do not need to perform step 5 because we are not using Narrator on the computer, but merely want to access the voices in the next tool that I will show you. We are not going to choose any right now. Without choosing any, Microsoft Narrator comes with 3 voices. Well, that's great and all, but how do we type out and allow it to save as an MP3 file? For that answer, we'll need to download a free program from the Microsoft Store called Any Text to Voice. You can search Google for it and it will come up. The web page looks like this, and it is free from the Microsoft Store. Microsoft is very vicious about getting you to sign in to your Microsoft account. If you don't have an account, just keep canceling out, and every time it asks you to sign into the account, and it will let you get to the Get button at the time of making this video. Click the Get button, and this will bring you to the Install page. Click the Install button. Microsoft will acquire a license and then begin downloading. The software download and installation is completed. Let's check out the software. Click the Launch button. We can see that the voices that come with it are the same 3 voices we saw in the Narrator. Let's try David and see how that sounds. We will type out something and have any text repeat it back to us using David.
This is a test to see how this works and what is happening with any text to voice.
I also saw in the drop-down Install New Voices. Let's check that out. Looking at these instructions, they look much longer than what I just showed earlier. Instead of going through all these instructions, let's see if we can take a shortcut by using the instructions I showed earlier. Open up the Narrator by holding the Windows key plus the Control key and pushing the N key, like Narrator. This will open up the Narrator settings. Scroll down, click on Add More Voices, scroll down again, click Add Voice. Now choose the voices from the countries you want to add. For this test, I'm going to choose Italian and Spanish. Search for a language at the top and now check the checkbox for it. Search the next language and then check the checkbox for that one as well. When you have completed checking the languages you want, push the Add button and all the selected languages will be downloaded and installed onto your computer. After the language is finished downloading and installing, switch back to your AnyText software. If you haven't pinned your software to your taskbar, do that now by right-clicking on the icon on the taskbar and choosing Pin to Taskbar from the menu that appears. Close out of the software and reopen the software. Let's look at the voices now. We have many more options. Let's try that same sentence again using Lisa this time. Take note that we are only using one sentence at this time, and we have not tested this with how to handle questions, multiple sentences, which I will try later, any commands that may be available, but we will try commands as well, or pauses, periods. This is a Talkia walkthrough and not a Microsoft AnyText walkthrough. Let's add another sentence and spell something incorrectly.
This is a test to see what this voice sound like. Let's take a look and spell something wrong to see if it corrects it.
Lisa definitely paused with the period and space after the sentence. we have the following options up at the top of the software. Load text from a file, paste from a clipboard, clear the current content, our voices of course, and the speak button. Change the voice volume, change the voice speed. Hey, let's change the voice speed to 1.75 times the speed of normal. Let's play it and see what happens. Oh, it looks like I have my cursor on the right side. Let's put the cursor back on the left side and try again.
This is a test to see what this voice sounds like. Let's take a look at it and spell something wrong to see if it corrects it.
Wow, that was fast. We have more tools here as well. Any audio cutter, any audio joiner, any voice changer. In the next menu, we have the tutorials, the ability to install more voices, and the About Us. Any audio cutter is 99 cents and allows you to clip the MP3 file that is saved from here. Any audio joiner is also 99 cents and allows you merging of two MP3 files. Any voice changer is $1.99 and allows for changing rate, speed, and pitch of the MP3 file. So for a total investment of $3.97, we have a very comparable TTS competitor to Talkia, albeit in 4 different pieces of software. Talkia just came out with version 1.0.9, and that has the ability to cut and paste and add more than one audio timeline. This last button we have is for us to save our TTS project as an MP3, WAV, M4A, or WMA file. I've looked up using SSML commands with Microsoft SAPI, and they do not appear to function inside any text to voice. So far, I don't see anything completely inadequate about this any text to voice software. If you wanted to hold a conversation, you would have to save multiple different MP3 files and then join them together using any audio joiner software. Let's test out some of the languages we just installed. How about Sabina? Let's hear what she sounds like.
Spell something wrong to see if it corrects it.
Whoops, I still have the audio set to 1.75%. Let's change that, and I didn't have my cursor at the beginning of the sentence. Let's try that again.
This is a test to see what this voice sounds like. Let's take a look and spell something wrong to see if it corrects it.
Let's give Mark a try. Again, I did not have my cursor at the beginning. That's kind of annoying.
This is a test to see what this voice sounds like. Let's take a look and spell something wrong to see if it corrects it.
He doesn't sound too bad. Let's correct a misspelling now. I did discover the last 2 buttons at the top are for moving the cursor back to the beginning and at the end of the text.
This is a test to see what this voice sounds like. Let's take a look and spell something wrong to see if it corrects it.
We can hear that ensuring your spelling and grammar are correct is extremely important to a TTS. Click that subscribe button and smash that notification bell if you like this video. We have plenty more videos on this channel dedicated to marketing tools you can use. Stay tuned for our Solo Boss series where we teach you step by step how to start and maintain your professional business. If you'd like to see a video on a specific subject, leave a comment below.